nurtured in the way that we supposed to be nurtured in. Like this is a fact. Like we're not connected to that which will nurture our mind, body, and souls truly, and the way that we need to be nourished as a people. That we can only get nourished through the ancestors and following our roots, our heritage, our history, and understand how we practice before slavery, like as a people, and reconnect with that.
Please mute
Reconnect with that.
yourself. Please mute yourself. We have some feedback.
And I
Thank
say,
you.
like, the one thing I learned, like, when I first started, maybe like 6 years ago, is like, because you can get caught up really, really fast. But there was a lady from the UK that I didn't even know, and she's the one who always said ancestors first. Like, that's what she always, always said, because it was a lady that did voodoo. And you know, when you're starting out, everything sounds so good because you don't know anything. And she came in my inbox and she was like, listen, you're gonna mess yourself up. Build an ancestor altar and start with your ancestors first. And she
Yeah.
kept saying that. And to this day, her name is Sarah. I can't think of her last name, but every time I see something or hear something, I hear her voice saying ancestors first. So she said, if anybody doesn't tell you to start with your ancestors first, then you need to go the opposite direction.
Run. Run in the opposite direction.
Run. They're not for you.
Exactly, because the ancestors are the beginning of all of it. They have walked this path. They have been here before, and they're the ones, as Conjure is saying, they are your ride and die. Yeah. They will ride and die and protect you no matter what. Also, when you're looking to connect with spirit and the energies around you in general, your ancestors are the ones who are going to get you accustomed to all of those energies.
You better preach.
Okay. You don't go rolling up, knocking on Oshun's door and not be prepared for if she opens it or slams it in your face.
And I'm going to slam it because I already done told you. Okay.
Like, no, you learn about cultivating that consistent rapport and relationship with your ancestors, because it's just like any other rapport and relationship. It is a give and take. It is an exchange of energy. It's attention, it's conversation, it's offering food and drink and just and communion. And your ancestors will then build you up to where, you know, whatever energy is next that needs to come in that they want you to work with, whether it's an elemental energy, an Orisha, a Loa, a Candomblé, you know, whomever it may be, your ancestors are going to lead you there, but you've got to start there first.
You have to start there first. You have to start there first. Another thing too is that, like she said, they're teaching you how to interact with the spiritual realm. Like, this is mommy and daddy teaching you how to interact. The majority of us was scared. The majority of us, when we first started this journey, was scared. We were scared of the spiritual realm. We didn't want to see anything. We were scared to hear everything, and we couldn't talk about it. I just want you to see how far we are coming from where we are going. And so if you understand that that is a process, then you'll also understand what I like to do is equate the spiritual realm to like a train station or an airport, where you don't know about the different energies around you. You know who your people are. That's the ancestors. That's Josie. That's Jen. That's Niche coming, you know, the Conjure. We're at the airport together. I know y'all, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know everybody here. And the spiritual realm is a lot like that. So those ancestors is there to help you navigate this realm before you step into something that overwhelms your spirit.
Yeah. And then, you know, we are a spirit world people.
Yes.
This is what we have to understand. We are a spirit world people. Like, we operate in the spirit realm. Like, what they have done with Hollywood and all of that, like, they have successfully made it look spooky. To scare people, to scare people away from it. Like, this is what they have done. But the spirit world is like, we have to journey into it. Like, we have, because if we don't, we're going to be unbalanced. We're going to be unbalanced. It's not just about the natural world. It's about the spiritual world too. Like we can't have the yin without the yang, or the yang without the yin. These two things go together. And then when we're talking about the spirit world, this is why we teach in etheric touch, why you call on specific energies.
Yes.
You interact with specific energies in the spirit world, but it's no different from the same way we got to interact with different energies here.
Yes.
You want to know who you dealing with.
Yes.
You just don't want to be around anybody or connected with anybody or hanging out with anybody because it might not be good for you. Like you want to hang around those people that's here that's good for you, that with and support you, and you support them. It's the same way with the spirit realm. Those you have love for, those that you know that have love for you. It's the same thing with the spirit realm, but we have to, have that interaction with the spirit world. We cannot be afraid of it. We cannot be afraid of it.
And then also understanding when you're dealing with the deities, the Orisha, the Loa, you know what I'm saying, and all these other deities, you are increasing the amount of energy and power you are interacting with. So it's equivalent to walking up to a tornado or a whirlwind or going towards a lightning bolt. You have to understand you are increasing the amount of power that you are encountering. And so that process is even as well. Like so many people we see on these internet streets are rushing to get initiated. Initiations are for all different types of reasons and all different types of things. It's just not for God children in temples. Sometimes it's for your life.
Yeah. And then, by her talking about how interacting with these actual forces of nature, that lets me know that I got to be respect. Yeah. Like how that comes into play. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I just can't come to this energy any kind of way because this energy really has the power to destroy. You know what I'm saying? If I don't, respect it in the way that it's supposed to be respected. But like I say, it's the same thing here. I'm not going to let nobody disrespect me. Ain't nobody going to let nobody disrespect them. It's the same thing. Like we always want to be respected, whether it's in this realm or the spirit realm. It's the same thing. Like it's different sides of the same coin. But the two are really one.
Yes.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Your ancestors will teach you that respect. And it's an easier lesson. Even when it's hard, it's still easier to get it from your ancestors than it is to get it from a deity or a force of nature.
You better say that again.
You want your ancestors to teach you that lesson of respect. You don't want that lesson of respect coming at you from an Orisha, a Loa, a Contomble, a Wedeme, a fire spirit. You don't want that smoke.
You don't want that smoke. True indeed. But go ahead.
Go ahead. It was a while back. Was it last year or the year before, where the little white girl called on Baron Samedi and ended up didn't know what she was doing, had a liquor training, just heard, I think it was like a friend of hers told her to try or some stupid shit like that.
It was these internet streets. She was pissed off at her ex-girlfriend, who was a Black woman, and said that she was going to call Papa Legba.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was not Papa Legba. She fucked around and found out, trying to mesh all these different practices to create a hex. And it was Bewon Semdi who appeared in front of her, and she drowned.
Ooh. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
It was not Papa Legba. She called the Baron. Bewon Semdi.
Wow.
First, just the point there is understand, like, there is a level of respect that you have to have. There are protocols in place that appeases the forces of nature in order for everybody to get what they want and they need. There is a balance to all of this shit. There is harmony in all of this shit. And one of the things that, how I feel about y'all know how I feel about y'all. One of the things that I'm hearing and seeing is that some of you all are trying it, and please do not do that for these things.
And it's the same way. Like, just look at it from the standpoint, like, that's how it is. Like, if you don't know how to do something, then you need somebody to show you how to do it. Yeah, that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, in this world, when we started off in this physical realm as babies, like, we needed parents, we needed grandmothers, like, we needed people to show us how to live in this and survive in this world. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing as it relates to the spirit realm. Like, we need guides. We need people to show us how to operate in this realm so we don't harm ourselves.
Yes.
So we don't do anything that can come back, you know what I mean? And like enhance us or just whatever. Like, we just need to be guided. But ain't that what life is? Ain't
Mhm.
that life
Yes.
itself is
Yes.
needing guidance to understand things before you do it? It's nothing different. It's nothing different. And then remembering the spirit world is something that we can't escape because we all going there anyway. Like we see people anyway. So why not be
Mhm.
prepared to understand what the spirit world is so you can make that transition smoothly? You don't have to fall into the other realm. You can step into that
Mhm.
other realm and
Ano-
continue your journey.
Another thing that just came to me too is like, remember the music video by Bone Thugs and Harmony, meet me at the crossroads, or you want
Crossroads.
lonely?
Yeah.
Okay, can you imagine getting to those crossroads and then it be one of these energies waiting for you there instead of your people? Can you imagine?
Can we talk about this for a
Yo,
second?
Mm.
Can we? I want to talk about this for a second.
yes,
The crossroads are filled with all sorts of spirits from all sorts of pantheons. If
Mm,
you do not know the protocols to address whom you are looking to address, don't try it.
Mm,
I
All right.
say,
There are so many different there are many leg bars. This is what people don't understand. There are
mm-hmm.
multiple leg bars.
Yeah.
yes,
Leg ba is a category, a nation, a set of
Yes.
spirits. Leg ba is a
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
what people like Papa Legba, but which Legba? Is it
Hmm.
Grand Chemin? Is it Atibon? Is it which Legba is it? So if you
Yes.
don't know that because you're not working with someone who is in this path, your ancestors have not led you to
Yeah.
work with someone in this path, do not believe you are approaching the spirit you think you are approaching.
Wow.
Mm.
And that's so true. Like the one that I got, because the one was birthed to me. Mine is Go-Go. Go-Go. You know what I'm saying? My leg by issue is Go-Go. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So it's like Josie was saying, like it's many different energies that come under that umbrella. So you definitely got to know what you're doing, and that shows that okay, a person that understand that like has been guided in some kind of way. And so that need for
Exactly.
guidance to understand certain things.
for the people who have asked us to choose their names for them, right? For the people who have asked us to choose their names for them, there is a divination process for that.
Yeah.
We do
Mhm.
a divination process for that.
Yeah.
When people are choosing, when somebody chose Osuntola for me, there was a divination process for that. This
Yeah.
is my road. This is not
Mhm.
something that I chose for myself. This is my road. This is what's keeping me in alignment to my destiny. This is who's walking with me as I go. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
so it's important to understand like complexities and the simplicities of it all.
Yeah, and once
Yes.
again, just steady attributing it
Ashe.
to like how it all makes sense. Like, and it's nothing to be afraid of because it's the same way of being here. I'm gonna keep coming back to that. Like you got to know how to live here. You're gonna sink or swim. Like you got to know how to swim in this world. This world will drown you. This world will eat you up and spit you out if you don't know how to live here. If you don't know how to
Mhm.
interact here. If you don't know how like what to associate yourself with and not to associate yourself with. It's the same thing as it relates to the spirit world. Like know what you're doing, know who you calling upon, know who you interacting with. You know what I'm saying? It's the exact same concept. So it's
And I
nothing to fear.
But don't be arrogant.
exactly. And I want to revisit the topic of names and how important names are. You know, our different traditions, depending upon the tribe, the whole process of birthing a child, conceiving a child, all of that's ritual, right up until
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
Yes,
point when the child comes in and the child is named. All of it is ritual.
yes,
If you have not picked up the book of Water and Spirit by
got that.
Maladoma Somé,
it's
I
in the group. I think the PDF.
Mm.
please read that. Please read that because in the Dagara tradition, a child is named based upon what the spirit, the soul, the eternal soul says it how it identifies itself, what it says it needs, and what its mission is. And
Yeah,
that
Yes,
whole ritual is a process where the soul of the child possesses, we're going to talk
yes,
about that, possesses the body of the mother, possesses the body of the mother and speaks through the mother through sacred
mm,
possession and ritual to
wow.
identify whose ancestor is this,
Yes.
Where is this soul coming from? What is the mission of this soul? And what sacred items, if any, will this soul need?
The original baby shower.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And
Wow.
ain't that, but we can see how important that is, and how that we are being harmed because we are no longer living according to that tradition. Like, to know who you are, to know your purpose, to have that focus, and to be guided by others that know your purpose and
Yes.
support that around you, to support that. Like, how beautiful is that? Like, this is what we have been missing, because most people feel like they don't got no real purpose for being here,
Yes.
no real reason for living.
And so, in other words, we're doing toddler steps in life as
And
grown
this is
people.
how you become lost souls, or what, like a chicken with the head cut off. Like, this is how we become that kind of energy here, because we don't even know why we are here, because of our cultural missing and the way that it is. So we could have the experience like Josie is talking about, and then we can know from a small age our reasons for being here, our purpose, our destiny, what we're here to fulfill, and be on that path. Like this is what we need in our life, and for our children, to give our children direction in this world. Like, even though it has been taken away from us, and we have been, fortunate. I don't even know I don't even know if that's the right word, but to come back into this way, like, it's our obligation to pass it on to our children now,
Absolutely.
the children around us. So this is what etheric touch children is coming forth for. It's like this very reason.
The etheric touch in itself gives you your foundation. And we say this so much during class. Like, we're here to give you your foundation so that you have the tools that you need to be able to navigate whatever path you decide to go on. Because all paths are leading to your destiny, to your purpose here, And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we are emphasizing is make sure that you have that foundation set first. Make sure that you are able to tap into yourself first. Make sure you're able to communicate and tap into that energy of your ancestors first. They will not only guide you, but they will reveal your own gifts and talents. Like, one of the things that I can tell you is that if you don't have a foundation and you go into ATR, it can be very much like going back to Christianity. You are relying on somebody else for your spiritual growth and your spiritual cultivation. And ultimately, you are the only one responsible for that. The ATRs are rooting us back deeply to the beginning of time, to our ancestral roots. You have ancestral roots here.
To this universe.
All the way to the universe.
Yeah, our history and culture leads us to that understanding of ourselves. Like, we are one with this universe.
And so understanding, before you can get to one with the universe, you need to start dealing with grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to understand when to call which ancestor for what reason.
Yeah.
Who is your liaison? What does it feel like for them to be talking to you? Do you realize when they asking you for something or telling you to do something? Like, it's not anything to rush towards. It's my purpose. Like, be cautious, be aware, take the baby steps, learn the process, be comfortable within yourself. I was talking to a client a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, I was telling her she has to go within herself, and she didn't understand what I was saying. And so I was telling her, like, what is that force that animates you? You know what I'm saying? What is the force that's looking out at me? Like, what is that spirit? And if we can't tap in and look into that first and foremost, and be comfortable with that, to the point where, and waking life, like Josie, everybody probably has experienced it by this time. But if I talk to Josie, me and her building, she can be like, but spirit said da 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 da. That's because she's gone inside of herself enough to cultivate her inner spirit that she is able to acknowledge it externally now. She does not have to purposefully go within, because spirit is constantly talking to her, and she can pick up when those communications are happening. And so then as you continue to grow and you start working your way towards ATRs, then those things, these forces of nature, are more gentle with you, because you're already dealing with the spiritual realm.
You know how to deal with it.
You know how, right? And your teachers are everything.
You know how. And listen, this is, we got to look at it from the standpoint, like, even scientifically, they say that the average person is living to be 70 years old now. If that person living to be 70 get his 8 or her 8 hours of sleep each night, like we are supposed to, then we have spent 25 of those 70 years in the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
25 of those 70 years in the spirit world. Why? Because it's preparing us for that reality of ourselves. Like it's preparation. It's preparation. And the more that we grow, the more mature that we become, the more in tune with the spiritual world we're supposed to be becoming, family. It's not being more afraid of it. It's realm as we mature. Like this is what's supposed to happen naturally. Like we go off into the spirit realm every night when we dream anyway,
Yep.
family. Like when we dreaming, we're going off into the spirit world in a spirit body.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That we are utilizing as we move and do what we're doing in the spirit realm. That is our body. That is us. This is the reason why we can wake up out of a dream and tell you exactly what we was doing and what we experienced because we was there. Even though your body is laying in the bed, it could be people talking all around you. You don't know what they're talking about because your spirit, your soul is somewhere else. You're in the other body. And then you can come back and tell me what your experience was, but it's preparing us to take possession of that body. The more that we get in tune with it, the more that we acknowledge it, the more we give more of our attention to it. And the reason why we are so less aware of that body is because most of our attention goes to this body. Like we have been raised that way.
Yeah.
But we have a balanced body. We have a spirit body. This is the law of creation. If you have one thing, you have another. If you have a physical body, then we automatically know we have a spiritual one because this is my arts. Life is balanced. And so it's about waking up to that aspect of who we are. And once we wake up to that aspect of who we are, like how would that transform the way we live our life now? How would that transform us? Like what was that? Like how would that change our behavior? What kind of impact would that have on us? Because like this is what we're supposed to be experiencing now because we are aware of the spirit body, right? We are aware of the spirit world, right? We know that we can go there. Our ancestors talk all the time about going there, speaking to other being, like all of the guidance we get from there that we bring back and assist the tribe here from going there. But this is natural because we do it every night. We go into that spirit realm. So, but what if we was going into it consciously? Having the kind of experiences that we want to have, meeting the kind of beings that we want to meet, communicating with the kind of beings that we want to communicate with in the spirit realm. Like this is how we're supposed to be utilizing it. Now.
Yes.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I wanted to go back down towards was Josie has said possession.
Yes.
Be in touch. So we want to, like, there's a whole spectrum of things that come with ATRs that Christianity does not really touch on that way, you know. And one of those things is possession. Now we see it. Hold on, somebody's not on mute. We see it. We see it in Christianity. We see it with people catching the Holy Ghost and things of that nature. We've seen it, but when these energies come down and they will take over and animate you.
Let's talk about that. So in our traditions, possession is real. And
for real.
It's really real.
Like for
real. When you are in a ritual and a ceremony, let's talk about the structure of the ceremony because yes. So, you know, one of the things that Osuntola mentioned was about if you're not prepared for an ATR, it may seem very Christian strict. Well, one of the reasons is because there are protocols. One of those protocols, one of many, is the structure of those rituals, the structure of the ceremony. You have the congregation, you have the drummers, you have the songs, you have all of those things. All of those things are precisely constructed to draw down the spiritual energies, whether you're talking
you better talk about it.
Okay, Orisha, Loa, Contomble, Wedeme, those ceremonies are specifically designed to draw them down and draw them in. And so one of the way for this energy to give those messages to the people to come in and actually partake and take part is through possession. That means in that ceremony, there is at least one vessel. Now listen, let me tell you something. That vessel does not necessarily have to be the Mambo who's running the ritual.
That's
You
true.
better preach on tonight. Okay.
Okay.
This made me take 200 giant steps back when that happened. Like, yo, wait a minute. How is that coming?
The spirit will possess whomever it possesses.
Yeah.
If there is a 3-year-old and that 3-year-old is the most, ready vessel that it wants to possess, that spirit will animate that child and speak through the child.
Yeah.
If you are the most present and open vessel that it wishes to possess and animate through, guess what?
It's
what's going down.
You're gonna
And
be
there's no
minding
way
your
to
own
stop
business
it.
in that ceremony, and next thing you know, you will black
Gotcha.
out.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Got you. You will black out, and you will come to and wonder what the fuck happened.
True
What
indeed.
in the fuck just happened?
True
Okay.
indeed.
Exactly. Now, if it's the Mambo or Uga or Iya or Olorisha who is the vessel, you are going to witness them completely change because they are no longer themselves. They are the animation of that spirit. So they're going to take on the voice. They're going to take on the mannerisms. They're going to take on everything about that spirit.
Yes.
Because that spirit has now taken over their body for the amount of time that however the spirit needs to communicate to the people who have gathered to partake in that ritual and in that ceremony. So if possession it will freak you out, I do not recommend going into ATRs.
Yeah. But like they were saying, you see it anyway within Christianity but they just don't know what's going on.
Right. So it's the difference between Christianity and ATRs is that with ATRs, it's purposeful. They are aware of what they're doing and they want this to happen. You know what I'm saying? They're opening it up for the Orisha, the Lawa to come through and animate and participate in the ritual with us. And Christianity is not an awareness that this is what they're conjuring down.
Yeah. Yes. And go ahead.
And a lot of times in Christianity, there are touches. You get touched by the Holy Ghost and you get this animation, this energy, this exuberance. When it's in an ATR, it's not a touch. It can be. Sometimes they want to touch and come through you, but usually the structure of the ritual is to draw that spirit down to take over.
Yes.
And what I mean is that we're calling specific energies will be called down, but we know the attributes that these energies are going to bring, like the healing these energies can bring mentally, spiritually, or physically. But just look at this though. In most cases on earth, like we see people with all kind of spirits in them any kind of way. You know what I mean? All kind of spirits that don't even know it's there, that they done called into their life in some kind of way that's wreaking havoc within their life because they don't even know what's in them. Like all the things that we see people do on earth, these be spirits that take possession of bodies. Like that is what happens here. And so we're talking about knowing the energy that you're calling down to come in and interact with you, like in your vessel. But we know what kind of attributes and what we're calling this energy down for, and the way that this energy can impact our life in a positive way, to call down a specific energy. Like Josie was saying, it's nothing spooky about this. There's nothing scary about this. Like, this is life. Like, especially when we can see this is what's happening anyway, whether people are conscious of it or unconscious of it. I'd rather be conscious of the energies that I'm calling down into my life versus being taking possession of something that I didn't caught in my life from my ignorance.
Correct.
And it's wreaking havoc in my life.
Correct.
I'd rather be in the know-how of what I'm doing.
And that's why you can see those ceremonies where the rituals are taking place and people are drinking and they smoking and everything like that. And it'll be completely different than somebody who's just doing it recreationally. The spirits that show up are completely different because we're not aware of what we're conjuring in these states. You know what I'm saying? But those, all of these things are real. Another thing I wanted to get into a little bit of is the way the different forms of offerings.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
We going. We gotta go because the truth is that a lot of times when we are first uh thinking about ATRs, we're considering them, we are curious and want to explore them, we have no true idea what we are signing up for. And it can be very, very surprising.
Yes.
Um,
So yeah,
and
go ahead.
yes, and it can be very and it I want you to be prepared fully for what you're asking for when you're deciding.
Yeah.
And there's things that right now that Josie can't talk to me about because of her own initiation. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a mystery school system that we're entering into, and you have to graduate to certain levels in order to get certain information because of the protocols, because you are learning to conjure spirits.
And things develop over time.
Right.
Things naturally develop over time. That's the way of nature.
Yes.
Things develop over time. So you just got to take your steps, and then the next thing you know, you're gonna be blooming and blossoming, but you got to take those steps to get there.
So let's talk about those offerings, because that's the one thing that's really not talked about, and it really should be talked about. And there's also the misconception, we have a lot of popular people who say that they're initiated and they're offering, vegan crap to some energies. Let's pause all of this misinformation. Okay.
Right.
When you ask something of spirit, something is required. And depending on whether it's tremendous healing or the breaking of a generational curse or opening roads or tremendous cleansing, sometimes that offering, it requires life force energy.
Yes.
Life force energy being blood.
Blood.
Each of these spirits, the Orisha, the Loa, and the different deities, the different forces of nature of the different tribes, have different blood sacrifice offerings that they require. So, there are different offerings you give where it's food, grain, or meats or what have you. But when you're getting into life force and blood, you're talking anything from goats, pigs, chickens, pigeons, turkeys, peacocks, rabbits, bulls, okay, bulls, rams.
Goat. Yeah.
Listen, all forms of different life force energy, and that it is integral. It is integral in ATRs. ATRs and sacrifices are hand in hand. Period.
And this has been the tradition of planet Earth since the beginning. Like even within Christianity, Jesus was what? A sacrifice.
Yes.
Jesus was a sacrifice.
And we
the blood of Jesus.
Right.
Is what covers
every first Sunday.
His people, according to that story. And even they have the ritual of where they eat his body and drink his blood ritualistically. Blood. You know what I'm saying? And so don't look at it like, oh, this is something that's so different from what Christianity is doing, or Christianity is doing the very same thing. This is how salvation came into the world according to Christianity. It's through blood, the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And and so it's everywhere. Like we can't escape that. Like we can't escape that. Like this has been a way that we have been practicing, like I say, since the beginning. Like that life force energy of what blood represents. And according to what work has to be done, it might call for blood. And we can't fear these things. Like most people, like most of us fear our tradition and our culture. It's spooky to us. It's scary to us now. But we practice it in other ways that it's still really the same thing, but we have been convinced that it's something different. But the whole thing is still Christianity. Christianity is a blood religion.
Yeah.
It's a religion of blood. It's a practice of blood.
It sure is.
And so when we talk about it in ATRs, like, don't get spooky now. Don't get scared now. You know what I'm saying? When we have been practicing this unknowingly anyway.
Exactly. There is one ceremony that I can talk about because it has been open to people who are able to attend, and it's called the Manger Loa. And the Manger Loa is when we feed our spirits that we work with, and we feed them the sacrifices that are their most favorite. And they will come down and partake in that ceremony. They will come and they will bless the sacrifice, and then the sacrifice will be done right there. The blood is spilled. And there are times where the Lawa will take that blood and you are going to get baptized in it.
True indeed.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Depending on who you are, what you're going through, because spirit knows all.
Yes.
Spirit is intricately connected with you. And
Yes.
there could be times you could be a person going through something, and the remedy for that requires blood. And that spirit will come down and spill the blood, and you could get baptized in it inside and out.
Yes. Inside and out.
Yes.
That's true indeed. And you know, what was I about to say? We was talking about
the rituals, the blood rituals.
The blood rituals. Yeah. What was I about to say though? Go ahead, because it'll come back to it.
Well, good. Okay. I mean, everything that she just said, one of the things that, you know, was most surprising to me was that. I was like, oh, okay. So this is what we're doing. All right. Well, but I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? I'm here now. I'm getting ready to go through what has to be gone through. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like when we speak about like the sacrifice of different animals, this is symbolic to us killing off or subduing our lower nature, the animal aspects of who it is that we are. Because when an animal has to die for you in your place, like we're supposed to feel a way about this.
Yes.
Like, wow, this animal just lost his life for something that has to be corrected in my life. Yes. And so it's about killing off that animal nature within yourself that gets us into certain positions to where we got to go get the work done now. You know what I mean? And so this is how we look at that, like a killing off of the lower nature, so we can interact more with our higher selves and higher energies and higher spirits. Like this is what the sacrifice represents as well. Like this is what Jesus did. Jesus was symbolic to killing off the higher nature. The lower nature.
Lower nature, yep, absolutely.
It was symbolic to killing off the lower nature, so you can ascend to the kingdom of heaven and experience your higher self. Yes. Like this is what the story of Jesus is talking about, the sacrificing of him.
And even in the movie The Avatar, y'all remember when Jake she had to kill that panther because it was coming after Jake in the beginning when he was just with the fire. And she said a prayer over the animal prior to sacrificing the animal. The same thing applies. It's like we're giving thanks, we're giving honor, we're thanking this animal for allowing us to sacrifice and sacrificing itself on our behalf. You know what I'm saying? And it's really interesting too, like that whole thing. Like when you go, the animals know, like the animals will know, and they will actually give themselves to it, or buck against it. You know what I'm saying?
I know when I got a goat, the goat looked at me and like bowed.
I'm telling you.
And bowed before the sacrifice happened. You know what I'm saying? But our thing is right now is like, don't look at this as nothing spooky. Like this is the way that they want us to look at this, even though we're practicing it anyway. Like within Christianity, it's all based around sacrifice of a human being, like not an animal, but a human being.
I mean, and look at the Old Testament. There are sacrifices left, right, sideways, and center of all different animals, depending upon the purpose.
Yes, and Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. And he was the ultimate.
Exactly.
And then that's why they say you don't have to sacrifice anymore.
But
because of in Christianity.
In Christianity, what I'm saying is that they might say that, but you still got that ritual of drinking that blood.
That symbology is still there.
Symbology,
it's still there.
They're not going to like ask them to take that out. They're not going to take that out because they know the importance of sacrifice.
Correct.
And so this is what we have to understand. If it ever comes to that, like we can't shy away because of that. Exactly. We can't be afraid because of that. Like we have to be able to embrace that, but knowing what this is about, knowing what it's for, like it's the knowledge and the wisdom. You know what I'm saying? That we have to have that we don't have anymore. Like it's not the fact of this being done. We have to know why is this necessary? Why is this important? Like we have to understand these things so we can continue these journeys and not let something stun us, or scare us away, put us in fear.
And the other thing that is so important about the sanctity of the sacrifices, it connects you at a deeper level to the food that you eat.
There you go.
Absolutely. You know, and though when they sacrifice, they use those the goats, a lot of times they feed
the meal later.
I'm telling you,
you're gonna eat
and they're gonna give it to, you know, we eat that after it's done.
And even if you don't eat meat, like you don't want to turn, like
you don't want, because
that's time to turn this down. And now it's time for you to sit down and eat some meat now.
If you're a vegan and you are in a place where a sacrifice and there is meat, you should partake of that meal, because that is medicine for your healing, period. All that vegan stuff goes right out the window.
That's so important. I want to repeat that. So I'm going to repeat exactly what Osuntola just said. If you are a vegan or a vegetarian and you are taking part in a ritual where there has been a sacrifice to a spirit, Lawa, Orisha, what have you, understand that is a blessed sacrifice.
Yes.
Yes.
It is highly blessed and charged with the energy of that spirit, those spirits. To refuse to eat that, if you are offered it, because it's not always offered, but if it is offered to you and you refuse it, it is an insult. There's no saying no to eating a sacrifice that is offered to you that's been blessed by the spirit. So if you have an issue with it, it is, again, working with your ancestors and building yourself up to that point, because there is no saying no. It is a sanctified and sacred item that you are ingesting. And so you cannot say no.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Absolutely. You know, it's interesting too. Before I even get into that, let's talk a little bit about what we have seen as far as these internet streets. First of all, the scamalawos gotta go. Anybody who's jumping in your inbox talking about, I can save you, everything, all your life is going to hell, you're getting ready to die, your ancestors are upset with you out the blue for no apparent reason other than to just be a bugaboo. Those are what I call scamalawos. You know what I'm saying? They are coming to get you. This is what I call catfishing, all of that stuff. Ignore that completely. Block them. Block them. You don't even have to ask me about it. You do not want the kind of godparent that is recruiting anyway.
Exactly. If anybody pops up in your inbox, says the ancestors told me to come to you, block. Because there's no reason for your ancestors to come to some stranger Ifa Babalawo 54613. Your ancestors come to you.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And the only time that somebody else may be able to pick up on your ancestors specifically is if the ritual has been done for that purpose. Nobody is just coming out the blue talking about, I've been talking to your ancestors, and no, that's not going to happen. So go ahead and block them. Another thing that I want you to also be aware of are the predatory natures out here on these streets. You know what I'm saying? People are, character. I can't emphasize character enough. I cannot emphasize character enough. When you're trying to attract your mate, when you're attracting your tribe, and when you're attracting your teachers, you need to understand their character. You need to ask for their lineage. You need to know how long they've been doing this. You do not want to give these things, like, your spirit is the most precious thing that you have, is animating you. Do not trust anybody to help to be messing with that. It's important.
And then, dealing in these traditions are character building traditions.
Yes.
These are character building traditions. And why is character so important? And, like in life, because we understand, like, this is a movie that's going on Earth. Like, it's a movie going on here, and we all have to be in the proper character, in right character. Our character has to be strong so we can all play our roles to the best of our ability, which is our purpose and our destiny. And this is one of the reasons why we will be equipped from a child with certain knowledge that we needed in order to play your role right within the community, like, or the grand scheme of things, like to know your character. And this is where we get into the astrology, the numerology, and things like that, because these are really our scripts. Like, these are our scripts within the movie. And so this is why it's important to get that information. Like, this is the information that we come with, like your astrology, for an example. This is the information we are stamped with when we are born. So this is who we are. This is, and then, that reveals, I know Josy can get more into that, but these things are extremely important. But our culture is the practicing our culture is what taps us back into even knowing this. Because like you tell a person within Christianity, like you need to get your astrology chart done, they're gonna look at you like you crazy or you on some devil worship
Right?
type stuff. You know what I'm saying? But when you're involved in your own traditions and your own culture, you're gonna know how of a necessity that this actually is to know these things and
Yes.
why it's such a blessing to have Joseph here
The,
as a part of the tribe and the family
Yeah.
the
because she brings us this information.
Yeah, the astrology, I love it so much because the astrology is the book of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the blueprint that your eternal soul incarnated with. Everything from your character, your personality, how you react to different things, to also the themes in your life, the jobs that are best suited for you, your higher purpose or destiny, what you might have come in with from a previous incarnation, how you communicate and how you expect others to communicate with you. What's your communication language? Some people are soft and gentle communicators. Others are more animated and loud and forceful. There's no such thing as a right or wrong. It's resonance.
Yes.
And when you understand how you resonate at a soul level, then you understand how to find those individuals who resonate best with you, whether you're talking friends, lovers, or spiritual guides. You look for the ones who resonate with you. I talk to people so much about the natal chart because it is your blueprint. You look at society and society says, oh, why aren't you married yet? Or why haven't you had kids? Or why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? I tell people all the time, there are some people who are not designed for monogamous relationships.
Yes.
And I will straight up tell you, because the worst thing that you can do to yourself is try to force yourself into a mold that was not created for you.
That's deep.
That part.
That's deep. And you know what I mean? And to even be open to that level of information, like this is why our culture is so important because we have been blocked off from so many things about life itself because we are people that whose culture was stripped away.
Yes.
And now that it's coming back to us, tonight it's about the need to embrace it and not be afraid of it. You know what I mean? And because this is what we got to latch back onto now, like our roots, which nourish all of our life, that make us strong, make us healthy, make us more of who it is we truly are here on earth. Like this is how important this is.
It's so important. You have to know yourself first in order to know how to relate to the world that's around you.
How to relate to the world around you. That's what I'm saying. How to even relate to this world around us and how to live in harmony with it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this is why this is important because these ATRs are based around being in tune with nature.
Yes.
Being in tune with nature, like this is what this is based around. Being in tune with nature, this universe, and understanding that we are one with it, our connectiveness with it, our connection with it. And knowing how to interact with the world around us, the universe around us, nature around us. Like, ain't that how we supposed to be living? Do we supposed to be living all discombobulated, like bouncing around here, like we don't supposed to be living like that? No. Because we are here. We are here in nature. We can all go take a walk in nature right now. It's nighttime, but in the day, we can all go take a walk in nature right now. We are here. Touch the trees, bend down, put your hands or put your feet in the dirt. Like we are here. We are here, so we have to deal with this. And so this is why this is so important. Our culture, our way, these traditions, because these are ways to reconnect and empower ourselves and grow, blossom and bloom and bear our fruit, which is our purpose and our destiny.
Yes.
For being here.
Absolutely.
Being here, so.
Josie, can you talk a little bit about people throwing?
Yes, Lord. Okay, let's talk about this. So, in all different magical traditions, and even not even magical traditions, in all religions, it's not, one is good versus one is bad. Yes. There is light and dark, there's yin and yang, there's There's malevolent energy and there's benevolent energy, even in Catholicism. You don't think them Catholics have Catholic mages? Stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Okay? So that's number one that people need to understand. Every single religion has benevolent energy and malevolent energy.
Yes. God and the devil.
Exactly. So if someone is throwing, which I'll talk about the symptoms of it, if someone is throwing, please don't come up and say, I know they do voodoo.
That part.
Stop it. Because that's further perpetuating the demonization of a religion that you don't know jack about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Malevolent energy can come from anywhere, even just someone's thoughts towards you without a religion even having anything to do with it.
You better preach.
Malevolent energy is anywhere from someone's thoughts to Christianity, Catholicism, or any tradition.
Yes.
It's not, I know they do voodoo. Stop it. Stop it. All right. So now let's talk about let's get into the weeds here a little bit with throwing magic. All right. As much as I hate to admit it, there are people out there in these streets throwing. They just are. Why? Because they were not taught to be ethical and responsible in their energy, let alone the energy that they wield. It happens. However, comma space, at the same time, before immediately assuming someone's throwing at you, there are certain indicators to look for. Number one is, this is why it's important to be on it with your ancestors. Now, number two, this is why it's important to know yourself. Because if we don't know ourselves, it's so easy to assume it's somebody else doing something to me.
Yes.
Know yourself and know your ancestors. Outside of that, if it is an instance where someone is sending something, there are some pretty clear signs. One, divining on it. You can pull your own cards. Even outside of, coming to either Osuntola or myself or someone else for a reading, you can do your own reading. Sit with your ancestors, pull the cards. Usual symptoms of this include random acts of, I'll be honest, random acts of shitty shit. Your car will break down. You get written up at work. Your debit card was stolen. It got charged $500 and the bank refused to give it back. You fell and you broke something or sprained something. These will be random repeated acts of shitty situations. All right, so there are symptoms of if someone's throwing at you. And you will 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100 be able to trace who, what, when, where, why. Because people don't wait decades to throw at you. If someone's throwing, it's something that went on in their mind or what have you, and they wanted to come after you for it. Yeah. But again, even though that happens in these streets, it is a rarity that I have seen someone coming to me saying, oh, I know so-and-so did voodoo and they're doing this and they're doing that it has actually been the case.
Yes.
I have experienced this energy, and it was interesting because when the first time I experienced someone throwing at me and I divined on it, I knew the who, what, when, where, why, and how, and I sought external confirmation. I had already divined on it. I sought external confirmation. I shocked the diviner. Because I knew myself, I knew my spirits, and I knew the situation, and I divined on it. The diviner didn't think I knew what I was talking about, and then they divined on it, and I shocked them. So it's important to cultivate those relationships with your ancestors, your eternal spirit, your emotional self, and really get into that foundational practice, because most things that get thrown can be cleansed off by using a variety of different techniques, whether it's washes, floor wash, spiritual bath, incense, prayers, protection rituals. There's a lot that can be done, but first it's understanding what the symptoms are and tracing the source. All right, it's some serious stuff and it's some serious shit. So if this serious shit is going down, take it seriously. And also don't be like these folks in these magical streets where you just get pissed off and you throw shit.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Them cars. Just don't.
Please don't.
Can I just add, like, how Josie was saying, like, it don't even have to be someone that's connected with any voodoo or Ifa, anything like that. It can be a family member just from saying something wicked towards you with the right energy behind what they say. Like, these are the things that we go through all the time anyway. And it don't got anything to do with no tradition that anyone is practicing. So the main thing is, like Josie was saying, knowing yourself, understanding what things, like when things are shifting, and then knowing what to do in response to that, like going through the cleansing rituals that you might need, the bath, or just whatever ritual that you might need to get certain energy off of you. Like, this is something that we have to know in general in life, because people always project certain energies towards you. It can be just someone that you're hanging around that their energy is messed up. Now it's impacted you and got things going wrong in your life because you spending too much time with the wrong person, but they don't necessarily have anything against you.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about that. I'm so glad you brought that up, Conjure. Let's talk about that. So, and that's part of knowing yourself and knowing who and what you're around, because energy transference is real, people.
Yes.
Energy energy transference is real. When you spend time around someone who is always negative and depressed and angry and downtrodden and, oh, the world is shit and this is shit and that is shit and my life is shit, my relationships are shit, my family is shit, and breathing is shit and not breathing is shit, do you know what's going to happen? That bleeds into your energy. Another one of the worst things that you can do to yourself is feeling responsible for staying around someone who has a toxic effect on your energy.
Yes.
Do not take on the responsibility. Well, they don't have anybody else. Well, I don't want to be a bitch and just leave them like everybody else did. Well, I just want to be nice. That will cost you. Notice I say that can cost you. It will cost you, because that energy doesn't just stay in a container. That energy bleeds through.
Indeed. And then when we're talking about energy, that taps back into the fact that we are the melanites.
Yep.
That's what we do. We absorb energy. You know what I'm saying? All energy.
Wherever we go.
Not no specific kind of energy, but all energy we absorb. Like, that's what melanin is. Melanin is the condensation of every cosmic energy, period. Like, this is what melanin is. And so we are carbon-based beings. Like, we are melanites. And so we are going to absorb the energies around us. So this is why it's very important to what Josie was saying, like watching who you be around, watching, you know, knowing the energies that you interact with on a daily basis, but then knowing the importance of keeping yourself cleansed, like even going out to something like a job and you got to be around all kind of people all day, interact with all kind of people all day. Just cleansing in itself is essential. And knowing yourself is essential. Knowing when your energy is shifting, knowing when your energy is different. Like, this is not me. Like, knowing yourself and then knowing how to respond as it relates to that.
Exactly. One of the things that's one of the things I'll ask you first, like before we even start, like, okay, so what's your self-care ritual? What is your self-care routine? You know what I'm saying? What have you done already to come to the conclusions that you have come to before we even go down such and such is thrown at me? Because at the end of the day, we all gonna have haters. You know what I'm saying? Haters exist. That's just what happens. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I would like for you all to be very aware of is when you encounter people who are encouraging you to throw at people that have nothing to do with you. Why are you getting it? That's like we all going to jump so-and-so. I don't know so-and-so to be jumping them. You know what I'm saying? What have they done to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're encountering people who is asking you to throw on their behalf because such and such and such and such and such, pause. Why?
And this is all going back into the simple statement.
No, thank you.
Statements that we've been hearing all of our life is that you're going to reap what you sow. Like what you put out is gonna come back to you. Like what you put out is gonna come back to you. And so like we don't want to even go there unless like you are in defense of yourself in some type of way. Like you need to protect yourself spiritually in some type of way. Like, but that's life in general. Like you're not gonna let nobody run up to you and just get. You're gonna defend yourself. You ain't gonna let nobody just beat you up, and you just sit there and let somebody beat you up. And we have to understand it's the same way in the spirit realm. Like it mirrors one another. The spirit and the physical world mirror one another, family.
And one of the
It's two sides of the same coin.
and one of the things that he said that I just want to make sure that we touch on, and when these things are happening, who is your first line of defense? Your ancestors.
And in the same way we call on our family here. Like if we got problems here,
who
we
we
go into
calling?
the fam.
And
like what the issue is.
And it's
you know
really interesting the way it plays, because as you start to move towards ATRs, then what you will hear happening is such and such deity is working with your ancestors for this. Such and such deity is working for your ancestors for that. You know what I'm saying? It's never apart from that. It should never be apart from that. It's always your ancestors is forever playing a role in this process. You know what I'm saying? So again, I just want to take it all the way back to the beginning. Your ancestors is first. Get to know your ancestors. Build that rapport with them. Understand yourself spiritually, and then begin that journey. You know, Conjure and I have been studying Ifa now probably like 4 years, and we just decided that our Ia is our Ia, our godmother is our godmother. Like we just decided that. There's so many energies, and you'll have people be like, "You're supposed to be my godchild." How you know? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. My ancestors didn't tell me that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And even that process, when somebody is talking about you being their godchild, they're talking about that they've gone to their shrines, their ancestors, their Orisha and or Loa, and asked if this is supposed the same way with DC. I asked before you come through to see if we even supposed to work together. The same thing applies. You know, it's not a recruiting process. We're not a football teams here. You know what I'm saying? Another thing about ATRs I want you to understand is that each and every one is different. They're different. It's just like Christianity. There's denominations, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say, I want to be in an African spiritual tradition. Well, which one? Because there's many.
And understand that you don't mesh them. You don't mesh them. Papa Legba, whichever Legba you're working with is not Eshu, is not Eligwa. Oshun is not Freda. Oya is not Dantor.
Yes.
Okay. There may be energetic similarities because that happens, overlap happens across traditions with similarities, but they are individual spirits, individual forces of nature, individual deities with individual signatures, individual offerings, and an individual reglement and protocol for working with them and approaching them. You don't treat one like the other.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we know this is might have been a lot, but it's like Osuntola always said, it's just about the baby steps though. Like because this is a journey that we all have to take, because like we can't get around the spirit world. Like we can't get around the spirit realm, like forget that, you know what I mean, get comfortable with it, embrace it, interact with it, go there, you know what I'm saying? Have your experience there just like you have your experiences here. Like this is how we're supposed to be living. This is how we balance ourselves out. This is how we become complete and whole in ourselves on like in our life experiences. We have to have the experiences of both realms. And so this is not nothing to be afraid of. Like this is something that we got to embrace and do whatever studies that need to be done, put whatever energies out into the universe that we need to put out as it relates to that we be aligned with, you know what I mean, the right people, you know what I mean, the right energies, just the journey, because we have to go on it. We have to go on it. But that's just like life here. Life here is like we have been going on a journey. Like life here, like. And so it's the same thing is the point that I'm going to continuously make. Like I want us to see the oneness of both realms, because it has to become one. Like the spirit and the physical have to become one, because that's what our life is. It's the union of spirit and matter.
Yes.
Our very being is the union of spirit and matter. It's not just matter. We have to understand the spiritual aspect of who it is that we are. And so this is what we're talking about.
You have to treat this journey with the same reverence and respect and seriousness that you treat your soul's purpose and your life path, because that's what this is.
Yes.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yo. Do either of you have any last words before I open the floor? Questions, comments, feedback?
Yes, questions, please. Ask.
Open your mic
questions.
if you have any.
You can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. I'm looking at chat now, the Zoom chat.
All right. Well, if y'all don't have nothing else, we don't have nothing else. I think we covered a lot. I appreciate you, Josy, for coming on, for sharing with us. You are so knowledgeable, and we are so thankful that you're a part of our tribe. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you gained some information about the path that you're on. Remember, your ancestors will lead you to where you need to go. Yes. There is no rush. Make sure that you are choosing teachers of character, and Ifa is Iwa Plele, good character. You know what I'm saying?
And even in that, remember the statement, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Sure enough.
And so that is holding ourselves accountable, that we are truly ready to understand certain things and to attract certain people and information into our own life. We have to even be ready ourselves first. And then the universe responds to that, bring those people and situations into our life that we need, that will assist us along our journey. And so, yes.
Have a good night, y'all.
Love you guys so much.
Love you.
All right, now.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.